Boom, we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us today. It's Steve at the Arcane Bear. I'm going to make some reflections of kind of the feeling and the sentiment back in 2017 when Bitcoin dropped from $6,000 to $3,000, and the kind of immediate feeling a lot of people had as well was that Bitcoin could then go to $1,500. You know, in these market cycles, one of the most interesting things is the volatility of the price is designed to get rid of investors. It's generally what it does. The lower the price goes, the more likely people are to sell. I can't tell you how many times I've had conversations with people who basically sell, usually at a loss, like a week before the market jumps back up again. The price and speculation has gotten so good at removing people from the markets, it almost has this distinct time relationship. I've seen it over and over again. We've seen some huge downside coming from, I guess, the debauchery around FTX. Again, I was totally taken off guard by their failure. And when this happens, people always can assume the price will go lower. So out of, I guess, the precautionary principle, any good investment thesis would say, hey, the price could go lower, but what do I want to do to average in over time? Now, the last month, and as we come to a close in 2023, I've been asking myself, how do I provide the most value to the community going forward, and what does that look like? Our channel has gone from talking about DMT and pineapples and Bitcoin in its early days. We've done travel vlogs. We've had conversations with PhDs in physics, biology, and medicine. We've walked around almost every field of conversation that we felt could be valuable, and we started to land in the world of venture capital, places and explanations of how you go from a 0 to a 100x, the time that it takes. And one of the things I think that's interesting is that the story stays almost the same. There's going to be something that comes up in the near future that causes even more fear. Now, one of the most interesting points I think that has come to light is that we've now seen Elon Musk do some very unique things with Twitter. I'm still not entirely sure how I feel about that. But ultimately, truth is valuable. And one of the things I've learned about venture capital is that if you find the truth early, you are usually categorized as someone who's a pseudoscientist, someone who is a charlatan, someone who's crazy. And, I've gone over this a few times. One of my very first early interests was psychedelic mushrooms, and this had the same kind of edge of, okay, well, if I'm right and early, people are going to try to call me a criminal, they're going to call you all sorts of names. And as the variation in the price of going from criminal to a multi-billion-dollar company within the, multi-billion-dollar companies within the medicinal mushroom world, or whether it's CBD and THC, you have to be able to withstand usually a long duration of time to see those gains, and you have to just withstand a lot of name calling. Now, Bitcoin could go down to, let's say, $5,000. Sure, that's a possibility. So if Bitcoin could go down to $5,000, but we also have speculation of why it could go to $1 million, which I've held throughout the duration of the entire Arcane Bear channel, what's the best way to approach that? We could have taken a lot more profits in the peak of the bull market, and it's always difficult because we should have sold more. On the bright side, we didn't ruin our reputation. There are many early seed investments we got into where we didn't sell anything. They go up 100x and they've dropped almost all of that. We made a decision early on that the reputation was worth more to us than the money. Even though people seem to be more attracted to money than reputation lately, I think this is probably more of a deeper side effect of this current society we're living in that seems to promote scammers and untruths over the value of truth. And I've actually seen this place before. What I'm seeing now reminds me of my early interest in psychedelic mushrooms, that we are still so exceedingly early to truth being valuable. That's concerning for someone like me, because it means that a lot of the things that are profitable, a lot of the people that do get highlighted are not truthful. And although I have no discontent with the way the universe does its own damn thing, I wanted to point out what I believe to be important here is that when you're early and truth is not recognized as the valuable option, what you get is mistruths that are the valuable option. The central banks and the World Economic Forum and all of their pawn-like players are going to continue to push the same narrative. The idea that central bank digital currencies are going to solve probably whatever banking problem is about to show up in the near future, and that crypto is part of the problem, it needs to be regulated. Now, interestingly enough though, you do find pockets of freedom. There are areas in the world where regulation is lower, where taxes are even non-existent. I mean, even what's interesting about this is the taxless jurisdictions end up being more wealthy countries because bigger companies with money show up there, and then you can get paid more because you're not getting taxed. It's this sweet feedback loop of, hey, if we don't charge all the people these taxes, they actually end up with more money, which ends up with a wealthier society. This is counterintuitive for most people. And this counterintuitive nature of truth being, I guess, the manufactured story of truth being unvaluable is where we're currently sitting today. So because there's so much volatility and potential in where the markets could go, I still think the best thing to do is focus on long-term acquisitions. You know, I'm a big fan of a few different types of investments, but crypto and early ventures is still our favorite. And the reason why is the high returns are so high and the effort is basically zero. You don't have to do anything with a good investment other than do some good research, make an investment, and then walk away for 5 to 10 years. So while we're always learning and growing and there is a potential for doing better each step of the way, I feel so similar to where we were when mushrooms were considered like the devil, that I think the next 10 years, as people wake up to the value of truth, we're going to see one of the biggest bull markets in human potential that we've ever seen. Because if the truth is the thing that is considered unvaluable to most people at the time, we know that there's so much more room for upside as people start to understand the value of that truth that's largely been hidden from them for whatever reason. Anyways, the point of today's video is to just give a quick update. Even though Bitcoin's price could drop lower, I think that, as I've said many times before, if it shows up as $5,000 on your buy screen, chances are you won't even be able to buy it at that price. You could probably sell it at that price, but there'll be so many buy orders stacked up in there, it'll basically be impossible. So just like back in 2017 when Bitcoin was at $3,000, there was a speculation that it could go to $1,500. You could lose another 15 or 50%. It's better to focus on accumulation over the duration of time. We are close enough to the bottom, in my opinion. And if we see an even deeper mistrust of governments and banks moving forward, although the price could dip lower, I don't think you'd be able to actually buy any. Anyways, just a quick little update. I've got a few more ideas here that I want to go over in the coming weeks. We're going to do a live video tonight where we're going to go over the charts because we haven't done that in a while and you guys have asked. But this is just a quick thoughts on my understanding of when truth is deemed unvaluable early on, and then the amount of growth potential that's there as truth becomes the understandable value mechanism, which you'd think it would be by nature, but people don't function properly. The Ash experiment is a great way to kind of do some research on why truth is irrelevant to around 70% of the population and how social bias gets in the way. Anyways, just a quick little update. Leave your thoughts, your questions, your comments down below, and we'll see you guys on tonight's live stream.